Planet Vero Studio is powered by the Nolan Group of RE/MAX Associated Realty. MyNextHomeFinder.com.
It's time now for Mental Health Matters with your host, Lisa Reimer. Mental Health Matters is graciously underwritten by New Vision Eye Center, world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast. New Horizons thanks Dr. Paul Minotti, Dr. Stephen Tate, Dr. Robert Reinauer, and Dr. David O'Brien. Now, here's Lisa Reimer.
Mental health does matter. Yes, being in good headspace matters. Mental health issues can affect your thinking, your decision-making, your behavior, and even your physical health. Hi, I'm Lisa Reimer, and I'm the host of Mental Health Matters and a communications officer for New Horizons of the Treasure Coast in Okeechobee. We are the largest mental health and addiction recovery provider in a 4-county region. We serve 15,000 children and adults annually, ages 5 and up, regardless of their ability to pay. In fact, 67% of our clients since COVID have lost their ability to have income or have any insurance, and yet no one is turned away due to lack of financial resources. So if you'd like to hear about the wide range of services that we provide, both outpatient and inpatient, you can go online to www.nhtcinc.org. That's New Horizons Treasure Coast Inc.org. And check us out. We have outpatient facilities across Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee counties. And our main campus is on Midway Road in Fort Pierce. So today's mental health matter is nutrition. And here to talk about that is Veronica Kolibab, who was the keynote speaker at our fashion show a couple of years ago. And she's also an certified integrative nutrition health coach and the director of business development at Nice Roofing and Construction. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate that.
Also in the studio is my very trusty co-host, Ms. Katie Love,
Hi.
Who will be talking to us throughout the show, as well as bringing us Teenage Confidential later on in the segment. So first of all, what is integrative health?
Okay.
Or nutrition, I know it.
Yeah. Well, when people think of nutrition, they automatically think of food on our plate. And the food on our plate is only a portion of our total health. So, and you know this with mental health, we need to have a spiritual connection, like something higher than ourselves. We need a good home environment. We need a good work environment. So integrative nutrition incorporates all of this, the spirituality, the home aspect, relationships, because relationships are key to our health. So let's just say you have the best diet on the planet and you love your job, but you're in an abusive relationship at home, your health will decline.
Like what you put in is what comes out. It really matters what you put in your mind, your mouth, your heart.
Yes, that's what we consume. So I tell people are like, why are you so positive all the time? Well, I don't watch TV. I don't listen to any music that isn't uplifting or inspiring. I don't read things that are negative or violent or anything like that. I'm very cautious of what I consume because I wasn't always that way and I wasn't always healthy either. So I feel like it's very important whatever I put into my body, from the food that I eat to what I'm watching, to what I'm listening to what I'm reading, to exercise, that's all part of health, which is integrative nutrition.
So you actually did take nutrition classes.
Oh, yes.
To become a nutrition coach.
Oh, yeah.
So what kind of nutrition classes? I see, you online doing all kinds of cooking and there's no gluten and there's no sugar. So tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. Well, I actually graduated from the Institute of Integrative Nutrition out of New York. All of their classes are online, but they're not like a 1-week course. This was like a full year of brain beating, information packing education. And we learned from amazing professionals, holistic doctors, integrative MDs, functional medicine doctors. Those were all of our teachers, including other health coaches and people like the creator of Primal supplements. And I mean, just all different lecturers that were just incredible. And we had to do exams, 4 exams in the year. So it was very comprehensive education. And so as far as the cooking goes, I've had to be gluten and dairy free for over a decade now.
Oh.
And so I had to learn how to eat a certain way from a long time ago. And then what happened was I got really ill from not taking care of myself, being in a bad relationship, drinking too much, doing things like that and working too much. And so I got what they call candida, and it was in my stomach. But it wasn't an albicans candida, which is a mild candida. It's when the microbiome overgrows the yeast in the stomach and then it goes through the body. And it's a debilitating illness. So at that point, I wanted to heal it naturally. So I chose not to take diflucan or any antifungal medications, but it took me a year of an extremely strict, candida diet is the strictest diet on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I went from 128 pounds to 110 that year. And I was 5'6.5" about, so I was like a skeleton. But I healed it naturally. But I mean, everything came off the plate. No sugar of any kind. That means no peas, no carrots, no corn, no fruit, none of it. No citric acid, which we know is in everything. No caffeine, no gluten, no dairy, no. The list is so long. No caffeine, no alcohol, nothing.
What did you eat?
Protein and vegetables, which is what we should all eat anyway. But I've loved putting the fruit back in. I did miss the fruit a lot, but I was able to heal that naturally. And so I had to learn quickly how to eat differently, like in a blink.
Why did you have to stop dairy and gluten years ago?
Well, gluten, they've really molested the wheat over the years, and we're seeing a lot more people with ailments that turn up. They can't diagnose them. And once they take the gluten out of the diet, so these protein binders affect the body in many different ways and mentally too. So in gluten is also a binder called gliadin. And that protein, and Dr. William Davis talks about this a lot, that protein actually mimics a brain protein, a healthy brain protein. And so when we take in the gluten, which has the gliadin, the immune system attacks. But it not only attacks the gliadin, it attacks the healthy brain protein that looks just like the gliadin. So that's why we see a lot of mental illness, ADD, ADHD, which we didn't see many, many years ago when I was younger. We see Alzheimer's. How many people with Alzheimer's and dementia, depressions and anxieties? A lot of times when they take the gluten out of their diet, those things kind of clear up.
That is so interesting. And so you don't even really have to have a gluten sensitivity to have some of those effects that maybe you don't even know.
Right. And
are
sometimes
gluten related.
Well, gluten intolerance doesn't just show up in the stomach. It can show up in memory loss. It can show up in pain in your joints. It can show up a lot of different ways in the body. Anger problems, mental problems, and they don't realize that it's from that. So a lot of people have gluten problem. They don't realize they have a gluten problem.
Is it because, like you said, we have, messed with the wheat product? Well, what if you have a very organic wheat? Would you have the same reaction to well-made bread, artisanal, bread made, by
in
hand?
Another country, maybe. See, our country, unfortunately, as much as I love America, we allow a lot of things in our food that other countries do not. So a lot of big food products and their ingredients are actually banned from Europe and other countries that they can use here in America. I actually posted something like that on my Facebook, a link to that so people can read that. Because a lot of these processed foods, not only do they have the glutens and the junk and the garbage and the fillers and the, this gum and that, starch, but they also have tons of sugar, which also is a brain burner. Sugar is really not good for the mind. It's very addictive. It's horrible for the body. The liver can't process excess amounts of sugar. So it puts it out into the body as fat. So everybody's got these high triglycerides and, that's not coming from the fat like avocados and nuts and all these wonderful things. It's coming from the sugar converting.
Yeah. I mean, looking at nonprofits that serve low income or high risk populations, such as the Food Bank and the Source and, other organizations, more and more we are seeing fresh produce, fresh vegetables and fruits being introduced. Whereas, it can be very difficult for an organization to take all of that on because you have to wash it, you have to prep it, you have to, the kitchens, the soup kitchens or whomever is going to receive the foods, they have to be prepared to process, just process fresh vegetables and fruits. But it's important, they talk about food deserts in low-income neighborhoods where it's not maybe, profitable to bring a Publix grocery store. So you have these convenience stores and you have mostly sugar-laden and fat-laden processed foods. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, and it's not good.
No.
If it's not brain food, children, don't perform well. I'm always surprised when I hear that, the free lunch or the free breakfast before school is a Pop-Tart. It's like, whoa,
that's not food. There's nothing about that that's probably ever been alive. I say eat real food. People go, well, Veronica, what do I eat? Eat real food. I mean, what would you do if all these boxes of junk weren't on the shelf?
You're just saying, when you say real food, what do you mean?
Real food, like vegetables and proteins and
like
fruits.
One word foods.
Yeah,
like
eat
chicken
the food
or
exactly
celery, pear, potato,
something real food.
Right, not
grows,
2 words or 3 words.
Alive,
right? Oh, gratin potatoes, which I love.
I know.
And here we are going into the time of the year when you eat all that kind of yummy stuff. But
and the cheese. I mean, cheese is actually a drug in itself.
It is mine.
It's a drug in general because cheese has casomorphins, right? So one of the funny things from school, another health coach was teaching on, and I just laughed so hard, and I saved a little section of it. He was talking about, you have the deer, and the deer, when it's nursing from the mother, it's protective. So the deer stays close to the mother because it has to eat. So it allows her to protect the baby until it grows up. Or a child is crying, you feed them, they go to sleep. Like it really knocks them out because there's actually casomorphins in that. So they've taken cheese and they suck all of the water out of it. And now you have a block of drug. And so people see cheese on TV, they're like, oh, I have to have some cheese. It's very true. Like cheese is very addictive too. So food can be very addictive depending upon the kind of food it is.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break. We're going to come back from hearing our sponsors, and we're going to hear how food, though, can go to the opposite ends if you're overly, I think, focused on food and what you're eating. Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Robert Reinauer of New Vision Eye Center is a fellowship-trained retina surgeon. He provides the very best care for patients needing treatment for dry and wet macular degeneration and diabetic eye care, as well as surgical care of the retina, including retinal detachments and the removal of floaters, providing world-class eye care on the Treasure Coast. Call 772-257-8700 or visit newvisioneyecenter.com.
Have you shopped at the Habitat Restore lately? This is one place that everyone must visit. It's become a regular weekly stop for many who love the thrill of discovering all the newly arriving merchandise. We've become popular because of the generosity of so many Indian River County residents and businesses that donate goods. To start with, we have a deconstruction crew that removes building materials for the purpose of reuse. Through resale, the Restore continues to support the Habitat goal of serving families in our county. Of course, there's more to see. The Restore's massive showroom displays furniture for every room, all in great condition. Shoppers will love the layout, which separates departments including plumbing, home accessories, electronics, lawn and garden, tools, sporting goods, seasonal goods, and more. The Indian River County Habitat Restore is at 4580 North U.S. Highway 1, just north of 45th Street. Tax-deductible donations can be dropped off, or we'll come and pick them up for free. Online at irchabitat.org.
Are you feeling blue? Going for a walk outside will surely lift your spirits. Studies indicate that walkers scored significantly higher on vitality, enthusiasm, pleasure, and self-esteem, and lower on tension, depression, and fatigue after they walked outside. Feeling down once in a while is normal, but if you're feeling depressed on a regular basis, you may want to consult a mental health professional. New Horizons is the largest mental health and substance abuse agency in the area, with help just a phone call away 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Call 772-468-5600 or visit newhorizonstreasurecoastinc.org.
Welcome back to Mental Health Matters. If you're just joining us, I'm in the studio with Ms. Katie Love, my co-host, and Veronica Kolibab, who is a certified integrative nutrition health coach, and she's the director of business development for Nice Roofing and Construction. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
If you're just now listening to the interview, you can listen to the first half of this part one of a two-part interview on our Facebook page. We have all of our interviews there posted, and that's New Horizons Mental Health. Maybe it's just New Horizons of the Treasure Coast. But so we've been talking about what integrative nutrition is, and you've talked about some of your physical ailments that you had to address through nutrition. And there seems to be a lot of focus on like gluten-free and sugar-free and dairy-free. And, I have to say, when I get too focused on restrictive, I can't stop thinking about food all the time because it's like, okay, you can't have that. That's what I want. And I'm always hungry. And I end up one time I went on a raw food diet and I gained 8 pounds in a week.
Wow.
Because I just kept eating peaches with olive oil poured on it because that's what they said. If you're going to eat, sugar, you have to slow down the glycemic with olive oil. And, that's not good either. Like that hyper focus on food or to gain a lot of weight in a short amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I think about Katie, in high school, when I was younger, the girls, they would have, eating disorders. There's anorexia and bulimia and all of that stuff. That's still around, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. You see it a lot, especially in the female spectrum of it. Like I said, sometimes I'll see people only eat like an apple at lunch to be able to keep a figure. And it's really sad because they're so focused on conforming to this norm that they have to be skinny to be conventionally beautiful. And that's not true. And we've all learned over time that it's not true, but it's just a mindset that we still haven't broken. And it's really upsetting to see.
Do the teachers, are they aware? Do people keep an eye out for kids and the signs, going to the bathroom after you have your lunch or, that kind of stuff?
Right. I don't think they do necessarily, and not because they don't care or anything, just because I don't think that's really on the forefront of their mind because eating disorders aren't really talked about a lot in school. It's, strictly more academic, and we don't touch a lot on mental health. We had a mental health day last Friday, actually, but that was a lot of your mental, depression, anxiety, staying away from drugs. It wasn't talking about some of that deeper stuff that I think they were worried would trigger some people, but I think it's a really important conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, from my experience in seeing and talking to other women, the bridge is when the focus comes off of the body or the weight and it becomes about health. And so the food is about living healthy, a lifestyle, becoming healthy.
That's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. It's a lifestyle. Because now what I do is not a fad. Like people go on gluten-free diets as a fad, or any of these other keto diet, and something that you mentioned earlier, like what you gained weight on the raw food diet.
Yeah.
So the funny part is, and the reality of it is that not any one diet works for everybody. Everybody's body is so incredibly different, which is another principle of integrative nutrition. No one thing works for everyone. So one man's food is another man's poison. Like how some people are allergic to shellfish and could die, right? I love shellfish. Some people can eat gluten and maybe not have a problem, and other people do not, so everybody's body is so completely different. And to the body issue, the media is not our friend because they portray these women that are not real on TV all the time. They've photoshopped and done this and that. And yes, there's lots of beautiful women, and beauty comes in all different sizes. And healthy doesn't mean skinny. Healthy means healthy.
So you talked about not being healthy before. Mm-hmm. And I heard your keynote speech, at our fashion show. Mm-hmm. And so let's go back to some of the things that contributed to your unhealthiness.
Sure. Yeah. Starting life was really difficult, and as a child, we grew up in a very abusive home. My father had mental illness and he was an alcoholic. and he was really abusive to our mother. And so that we grew up in that, which became normal, right? So we don't think everybody's house is like that, right? Until you get out of it and see that it's really not that way. And at 14, my dad committed suicide, which you know. And so that affects a lot of things. So growing up abusive affects your mind, right? You're never good enough. You're never worthy. You're never pretty enough. Like I went through my entire life thinking, well, my entire younger life into my almost 30, late mid 30s, thinking that I wasn't even pretty, right? Everyone else was prettier than me. And, you know, I just wasn't worthy of this and that. And I drew into my life the way my mind worked, right? So I would draw in the narcissist boyfriend, you know, or the relationship that was aloof and, you know, distant, careers that were not really for me, you know what I mean? Jobs that took advantage, people that took advantage. So that's really, I mean, the things that happen in our life affect us that way, but continue on and contribute to that health issue. So having drinks, and I'm not an alcoholic, but when I was with someone who drank a lot, I would drink with them, right? And so, or work too much. I felt I had to work harder to be better because I wasn't good enough. And so all of those things contribute to our health as well.
You know, we talk a lot about the adverse childhood experiences here on the show. And, you know, you just named so many of them, you know, the sexual abuse, the mental abuse, the physical abuse, the insecurity about food and shelter, and the, you know, growing up in a divorced house, growing up with someone, you know, committing suicide, with mental illness, with addiction issues, and even divorce. Okay. So some of these, you know, we all have one, two, but when you start having more and more, you know, you describe, and as we open the show, every single time we talk about mental health issues can even impact your physical health, right?
Oh, definitely.
So you just described exactly that. We only have a couple more minutes for this segment. We're going to continue with you in the next show. So this is a 2-part show.
Well, talking about that real quick, though.
Yes.
When we talk about ACE scores, you know, the amount of traumas in your life, and we did that in school as well. And my ACE score was like ridiculous. So I said, you know what? Everything in my life has to be about health now. And I think once people claim that, they take their body, their health, because that's our greatest wealth. So when we choose that, whatever it is, whether it's a great relationship, exercising, eating the right foods, doing what you need to do, but taking yourself and making yourself number one, because we can't help anyone else unless we're right all the way.
You know, and one of the reasons why I wanted you to come on the show and talk about this was that from the readings that I've done, understand that we hold trauma in our body. So it's not just working through it mentally. It's not just going to therapy. And then there's the other part of the work, which is through the body. And whether that is, you know, through massage, to work it out of the tissues, or exercise, to sweat it out of your body, or through nutritional health. Yes, I think, or food health,
or spiritual practices,
and
Reiki,
spiritual practices,
and
right?
Energy healing, and all those great things.
Yeah, so it's an integrative approach to healing, to wellness.
Yeah,
how exciting!
It's one. I'm in love with it. Anyone who knows me knows I'm in love with it.
Well, in the second interview that we'll do, I want to talk about what a coach actually does.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk to Miss Katie again about what goes on in the teenage world with food and self-image, and how maybe some of these things can be applied to them.
Sure.
Okay. How can people get a hold of you?
Right now, my website's being built, so it's on the Facebook page. I have Eating with V Facebook page, and the website will be eatingwithv.com.
And we'll talk about your television show coming up on the next segment. Okay. Thanks for so much for being here.
Thank you.
And Miss Katie, thank you. Be good to yourself. That's what this message is today. Thanks for joining us.